right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ginette Biro Podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and it is so wonderful to be here with you all again. I sure love and appreciate each and every one of you. And, the interaction that we have through podcast topics and all of that, I love it. So I just have to say thank you so much for blessing me with your interactions, your thoughts, your questions that then lead to podcasts and all of that. I just love it. So I have to start by saying that. Now, in terms of today's message, today's insights or understandings, we're really going to be talking about soul purpose. And the interesting thing behind it is the way this all came about. And it all came about, I guess I could say, in many different little different pieces that dropped on my path to put it all together. However, it has been brought to put all together because when we step into the energy of September, which I'm going to be talking about in the September energy update, so there's going to be much more, but September is really going to ask us to kind of cut the BS and be our full selves. That's essentially how it is. Like, be your full self. What is it you want to be? Who are you? And so many things since the pandemic started really have been about asking us to know thyself, right? To get to know the I am presence that is within us so that we can then step out into the we are presence, which is essentially how Spirit explained. Once we get to know thyself, and we'll continue to always unravel layers of thyself, right? The I am presence. But what happens is that I am presence starts to morph and blossom into a we are presence or consciousness, meaning we reflect on who we are internally, that I am, but then we want to step out and help the collective of all those we're connected with, which is everything. Really, the we are presence, we could say, is simply humanity. But then if we really tune into the energy, the we are presence is nature, is Gaia, is all things. So it's quite beautiful. So I say all of that because, again, we're talking about soul purpose, and really so much of knowing and figuring out that I am that soul presence helps us discover part of our soul purpose, right? And someone that I find to be very inspiring to me about purpose, meaning this person just seemed to embody their purpose. And I find I am drawn to their work, their art, their written art over and over and over and over again. That's why I want to start this podcast. And so the person that I'm talking about is Richard Wagamese, and he is an Ojibwe, First Nations from Northwestern Ontario. And he is recognized as one of Canada's foremost First Nations authors and storytellers. He's authored like 15 different books. And one of my most favorite ones, if you're watching this book is called Embers. So if you're not watching this right now, it's got this beautiful image on the front of a fire, a roaring fire, and these beautiful bright sparks of light around it. So it's called Embers. And it's these beautiful reflections of life through his eyes, through his understandings, his ponderings, his teachings. And they're just like reflections to me. And I find I read them and it just causes me to think. It's nothing that's telling you how to be. It's more presenting something that then you get to float through and feel into for you. And I love that kind of storytelling. And so one of them that I want to start with, which really to me has been a big theme, especially of July, August, has been drum beats. If you guys joined me for my Cosmic Consciousness, I think it was last month, we talked about the drum beat of Gaia, the drum beat within ourselves, that heartbeat within us that is our guiding force, this rhythmic pattern that gets us to keep going. And when we tune into that, there's magic. And so it was really neat because this morning I fell upon this piece of work of his that brought it all together, of why we're talking about soul purpose. And so I want to read this piece right here. So it says, when the drum beats, it resonates beyond your body. It becomes the heartbeat of creation as it was meant to be. To sing with it is to offer a blessing to all that is and to receive blessings back. That is why drums echo. Put your hand on your chest, close your eyes, and feel the drum in your chest. Sing with it, and blessings will come. Blessings will become your breath, indrawn and expelled, emptying and filling all the world at once. And honestly, that is so the root of your purpose, your soul purpose. Sometimes people will say, how do I find my soul purpose? How do I? And so many of the insights given from either myself, spirit, different sources is like, feel into your heart. What does your heart tell you? What does your heart say? And sometimes people are like, I don't know. I don't know. What I love about that, the drumbeat, is sometimes we need to just simply stop, connect into our heart, put our hand on our chest, and feel our heartbeat and start there. Just the heartbeat. What does it feel like? What does your heartbeat feel like? And the interesting thing that Spirit was telling me is once you start to tune into your heartbeat, you start to tune into that feeling of home, right? Like when you think of children, children love to snuggle their moms specifically. This is a general statement, but love to snuggle their moms with their head on their chest because they remember the heartbeat. They remember the heartbeat that essentially awakened them as they grew into a little human body, right? And it meshed with their heartbeat in time, this resonance. But then once we're separated from the womb, we then have to get to know our own heartbeat. And so if you don't know where to start, or even if you're feeling really ungrounded, say you know your purpose, but you've been going through chaos or lots of things have been happening, or you've been super, super busy. If you're trying to come back to grounding, all your grounding techniques aren't working, come back to your heartbeat. Just hold your hand on your heart. Sometimes even plugging your ears too can help you hear your heartbeat more. And come back to that. Start there at your heartbeat. And so the reason why this is so connected into soul purpose is because Spirit is saying that with September, there are lots of changes and confronting things on the horizon, but there's also exciting stuff for you to find and follow your purpose, your passion. It is on the horizon because the energy of movement is on the horizon for September. Movement. It's an uphill climb, but it is movement. And so the more you can tap into your own personal resources, like your heartbeat, your home frequency, the more you'll have the ability to recharge as you move forward, but also the more you'll have the ability to tune in what resonates for you, so that each step that you take on your path as you're moving forward is going to be a step that has a resonance to what feels aligned for you. You won't deviate from your path as much as maybe you would have before. And I can say I totally understand this now. This is one thing that I do very regularly now, is I will measure things against the resonance of myself. Does this feel aligned or not? And I won't question as much anymore. If something doesn't feel aligned, I won't question, well, why doesn't it? I will trust it. And it doesn't mean that I'm frivolous. If it's meant to come back around, it'll come back around. But I will trust that internal frequency to align me with my highest purpose because it's following my passion. Now, part of this passion and the soul purpose is about freedom of soul expression. And so one of the things that Spirit is asking is, where are you holding back expressing yourself out of fear of losing something, losing someone, upsetting some sort of balance or something like that? Where are you holding back? Because where you're holding back is where you're actually stunting your growth. And when I say this expression, it's really more of an expression of self. It's not necessarily telling others what to do, how to do it, where to go, but more so you being willing to authentically express yourself. And for example, maybe your whole life you have been known to be a tomboy, right? Your whole life, tomboy. And part of you is starting to want to express yourself in a more feminine nature. Maybe you're wanting to wear lipstick. Maybe you're wanting to have your nails done. Maybe whatever that is, you're wanting to express yourself a certain way, but you're afraid of it because you're afraid of the judgment. So that freedom of soul expression, by expressing who you want to be and maybe still embodying that tomboy nature, But allowing yourself the freedom to wear the lipstick or have your nails done gives you more of that opening and then honoring of that heartbeat, that home resonance, where then from there you can continue to grow and expand. When we stunt that expansion, we actually stunt our progress and stunt our pathway to our soul's purpose. And so I use that as just an example. There's so many ways that it can show itself, so many ways that we are holding back expressing what we think, right? Maybe in your family, maybe your family is vegan, but yet you feel you actually need to eat meat. You just feel this draw. You feel like your body would feel better if you did. You're afraid to say something, right? Maybe it's your family likes to drink and alcohol is a social gathering in your family, but for you, it just doesn't resonate and you don't want to take part in the consumption of it anymore, but you're afraid to say something, right? There's many ways that it can express itself, but it's about you feeling the freedom within you to be you. It is directly correlated with your soul purpose. The more you give yourself space to be, to express, to do as it feels it resonates for you, the more aligned you are to being in your soul purpose. It'll guide you there, or it'll amplify that you are there. Maybe you are there and you're not realizing it. Maybe you are a photographer and you're really good at it. You've been doing it for a long time, but you're like, I'm just not feeling it. But really, maybe what you want to do is get into taking pictures of a specific theme. Maybe it's revolution. I don't know, right? Like maybe that's what you want to get into. You want to expose stories through photography versus taking portraits, right? So it's, again, allowing yourself the opportunity to express who you really are within what you're doing, and that aligns your soul purpose. And so Spirit is saying, really let go of false assumptions of self. And this is something really interesting, that we actually have a lot of false assumptions of self. And it's in layers. There's different layers. And some of them we're kind of aware of. And we're like, yeah, I know I'm hard on myself for this or that. Body image being a big one, right? I know I shouldn't judge myself, but I do. That kind of thought. But then there are some that are these narratives that we carry that we don't quite realize we carry. Like, I don't know, say somebody grew up in a family of lawyers or doctors. And really what you wanted to do in this calling you've had is being a healer through your hands-on healing, energy healing. But maybe you're not even realizing that that's what you would rather do, because you're not even noticing that false assumption that to you, that is not a real form of healing, right? Again, these are just examples to try and color what Spirit is saying, but notice where you may have false assumptions. And when you do notice them, the beautiful thing is to allow the aha moment, because it's quite wonderful to have that aha moment when you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that was something I always told myself based on conditioning or how I grew up or this event or something. And wow, that actually does not apply to me anymore. Holy, okay, I'm going to shake that one off. I'm going to put that one to rest and allow myself more freedom to be who I want to be, or what I truly believe now that I realize that that was just some old program that doesn't apply. Again, the discovery of self can be actually a really beautiful thing. It doesn't always have to come through traumas and triggers. It can also be a beautiful unraveling of these layers. So it's when we have a willingness to really allow those layers to show themselves by expressing little things and taking sometimes big steps, sometimes really little steps towards who we feel we are, what we resonate with, what that looks like. That brings us back to our soul purpose. And when we're connecting to that soul purpose frequency, those exciting things on the horizon that Spirit's talking about have a better ability to align, because basically your energy becomes like a beacon and it brings that in. And so sometimes, again, like I said in the beginning, when we don't know where to start, we don't know where to connect into what is that home frequency, start with your heartbeat. It is the most beautiful sound you will hear. And the beautiful thing is it comes from within you and it never stops, meaning, it never stops for this lifetime. But what I mean by that is this constant reassurance, this constant frequency of you that you can tap into. And what's really interesting too, on top of that, is once you start to tap into your own heartbeat, and then you expand your energy again into this greater from the I am of your own heartbeat into the we are, you can actually start to tap into the heartbeat of Gaia and then into the collective heartbeat of humanity. It's subtle pulses of energy. You can feel it as you start to grow and expand. So it's really this beautiful connection. To connect out deeper into spirit, you have to go in first. So one of the ways, like I'm saying here, know your heartbeat first, and then you'll start to recognize the heartbeat of things beyond you. And you'll recognize this beautiful harmony and union and blending of these beautiful energies all around you. So I'm going to leave it at that for today, you guys. I hope that helps uplift you and connect you into, maybe where you're wanting to go, or reinforcing where you are going or what you are currently doing, right? We're all in different stages of our path, and it's continually evolving and flowering and flowering and flowering. And that is essentially the beauty of this human experience, is that it will continue to flower for as long as we're on this planet. And so we can really make the most of it. And the more we align with our soul path, our soul heartbeat, our physical body heartbeat, the more we can really be in that position of power, feeling protected, feeling grounded, and make the most of every experience we have. Whew, that's beautiful. Okay. I love it when spirit comes through like that. Honestly, I got to say, so many of these podcasts, yes, it is my voice sharing it with you, but so much of it comes through spirit that it is equally as much of a lesson to me as it is for you. So again, I really love this partnership and sharing this energetic movement that happens through this platform that I'm so honored to be a part of, and honored that you guys listen. So thank you so much, you guys. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you guys next week.